Jack Zuvalek.
Keegan Smith.
Thanks for joining me here in Bali. You've done a lot of interesting stuff as an adult man. You've had a lot of experiences building the gyms, 7 gyms by 23, something around there. Getting out just before COVID with that. Also being quite early to crypto, being quite early to Facebook ads. Now you're looking at the AI situation. What impact is AI having on business now?
Yeah, firstly, thanks for having me at your house with your family. It's been a great week. When I look at AI in the impacts of the business, it's like, where can things be done cheaper, better, faster? So that's the kind of ultimate triangle in a business. Generally speaking, you can pick 2. So cheaper and better, it's not going to be done faster. Better and faster, it's not going to be cheaper. Whereas I look at AI as kind of that great equalizer where it allows you to you just kind of replace jobs or replace just processes that are generally inefficient. So I kind of look at it as inefficiency maximizer, or just replacing things that are slow and a lot of human error, a lot of human input. And then if you can automate, say a lot of businesses still using paper, still using fax machine. You can get the data from the AI. Like one of my clients is doing more loan mortgage brokering, and then they're kind of just replacing all their paper and all that kind of stuff. It can go into all the right categories. It can basically do the job of someone that gets paid 80, 100 grand a year in admin, to just replace and automate that and just free up the team members to do things that they can push the business forward and they actually enjoy. So when I look at it, it can be applied to anywhere where a human is making a decision. So marketing, operations, delivery, sales, that you can apply it anywhere. And then so it's just okay, what's going to give us the best bang for the buck? And there's already hundreds of millions of tools out there. And it's, it's kind of overwhelming to go, all right, how am I going to use that? But I think it's in a business, look at where it is the most time's being consumed and where there's the most kind of operational drag or the most bottlenecks. And then kind of, okay, how can we build a system that's semi-automated, uses AI, creates automation, creates a better throughput, and then that's kind of where I see the big part of it. It's okay, where can it be making things better?
What level of what's possible do we actually have access to? Some say the technology is actually much more advanced and they've just released parts of it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, great question. I think it comes back to having the insight on the problem, and I wouldn't full language models, and there's guys that have been doing this stuff. Language models have been around for ages. The example I always use is Netflix gives recommendations based on what you click, and that's all AI. So my Netflix and your Netflix, that both don't get really used, but they will be different. So when I check my families, and the images that they give you is all driven by AI. So I think big companies have been in it, using it, manipulating us with algorithms and all sorts of stuff for, I'd say, at least 10 years.
Yeah.
So what you and I have access to, you got all the models, there's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, all that kind of thing. But I think right now, it's how well can you ask AI the questions that's going to give you that output. But yeah, I think algorithms and machine learning, and really what do you define as AI as well?
Yeah. Yeah, if I have a learning platform, I'm using education material, I don't have access to what YouTube has in terms of, that person keeps watching this stuff, therefore when they open the app, it already shows them the stuff that they haven't watched yet that's probably going to be most relevant to them. I don't have access to that. And it doesn't seem like that's coming anytime soon in the learning platforms. So it's already much further ahead than what we're really accessing, basically, what you're saying.
Yeah. And in terms of content creation and stuff like that, I was working with a couple of guys that have done full photo shoots for brands with AI.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm that's, when you come back to the first question, it's going to disrupt everything. Yeah. Everything that we know. And I always look at it, there's going to be the replaceable and the ones doing the replacing. They're basically the 2 job titles that, if you don't have an understanding of the core processes of the business, or if you're just a part of that clog, call it, and you're not innovating or making the process better, then models, for an example, like you're going to be able to get the perfect person based on all of the sequences and all that kind of geometry and all that kind of thing. AI is going to be able to spit out all those perfect people. And it might not be there yet, but when billions and if not trillions of dollars are being poured into it, it's going to make things move at a very fast pace. So it's like, okay, how do you stay on top of that, and how do you become indispensable to a business or make your business, innovate faster than the competition?
It's hard to get your head around the impact of that on an economic level, on a social level, like what that actually means. But the more you think about it, it doesn't seem like it's going to be more than 10 years until there's a significant shift in the economy. But then we always still have the opportunity as humans to do stuff, make stuff, whatever that is, whether it's, it's like you could say that the human isn't needed anymore, but the human always has the possibility to create whatever they want to create. And as long as they've got the resources to survive, then there's always going to be something cool and interesting to do. It almost seems like all the best stuff is off computers anyway. And it's not even like we've been juggling and doing handstands and playing with the kids and folding paper planes. Like that stuff's not even on the technology. What do you think about like that shift that a lot of people are wanting to make to using less technology and not being as engaged with the digital world?
Yeah, I think that there'll be, again, there'll be a split.
Yeah.
And, there'll be people that, they're fully off-grid, self-sufficient, this kind of life, and just, coming back to what we were before the Industrial Revolution. I made a video about it a couple of months ago. Like, it is the AI revolution. Like, it is going to change, I think, that the way that we're so connected, and phones and internet, and how so many people go sit in an office cubicle all day and bang on a computer for some way or another, that is probably not going to change. But and that's kind of where I see like the crypto and stuff like that, and the central bank digital currencies and all that kind of thing. There'll be people that are using Monero and Pirate Chain and all these kind of not hidden but untraceable cryptocurrencies. But then you'll have like the central bank digital currencies, the euros and stuff like that. It'll just be a split. And there will be like the free markets where there is no interference by anyone, and you get true supply and demand. Whereas most of the markets that we have, it's a capitalist society, but it's quasi-capitalism because there's government interference, there's government incentives, there's things that you can and can't do, which is probably a bit deeper than this conversation. So the actual, it's a capitalist society. Yeah, it is kinda, but when tariffs and taxes and all that kind of thing come into it, it doesn't really apply fully. And then when I look at that move towards a more self-sustaining, make your own food, that kind of thing, I think it's amazing, and I think there's a lot of opportunity there. It's just, okay, where does the fall in society, and how many people want that? Like what we're saying, people want to move and do the digital nomad life until it's time to do the digital nomad life, and then they're like, nah, I'm going back to my hometown.
Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting times ahead with both of those things that seem to be strong trends. Like AI is a strong trend, but also going back to the land, homeschooling, all these things are trending really strongly. A kind of Aurelius type message.
Yeah.
What do you think, like for those businesses that you're working with now, like what are those immediate steps that they can take to be able to do what you're talking about, to be able to be more productive? Not necessarily because they want to fire someone, but because they want to have that person do the most valuable thing and work into other roles. What are usually the low-hanging fruits when you start working with business?
So like the one on, if anyone's running any sort of advertising and generating like new leads, so they're kind of, I generally say north of about 5-ish. Like if you're just running leads, like if you're generating leads online, like the speed to lead bot, speed to lead AI is the lowest hanging fruit. All the research out of, I think it's Stanford, basically if you get it within the first 5 minutes, your chances of closing that deal 8x. And then every 15 or whatever time period after that, your likelihood of closing the sale just decreases. So if you're generating leads and you're like looking to grow, just having some like instant message that's not like robotic. And we always just say, hey, it's like an assistant from this gym, or it's an assistant from one of my home theatre clients. He does that. Hey, we just got your details for this home theatre package. Can I ask you a few questions? And it's just like that qualifying question, like that's where I think there's so much value because it is someone that's there, and if you get 2 leads at the same time and you call one, then that you've fallen into that after that 5-minute period. Whereas like the big advantage of AI, it can have multiple conversations at one time.
Yeah.
So I think that as like a low hanging fruit, and then it's like, okay, what is if like data and automations, like if anyone's uploading data anywhere, but that's not really even AI, that's just like automation work. And I think there's that distinction, like I was speaking to a lot of guys, there's people like 5 or 6 people in a mine site just uploading data that they've gotten from one spreadsheet into another. Like it's just an inefficient use of time that, okay, you can upload that data and just instead of having 5 people do it, have one. Yeah. So it's like, where is there a lot of human time that there's, moving data isn't necessarily producing value, and those people probably have the intellect to go and produce value inside the business in a different avenue. And that's what I'm really, I guess, cautious of, is like some roles it's just like that reallocation of time, like the human time. And like some people are like, oh, you're anti-human. No. I just think there's a lot of jobs that people don't really like doing and they fucking hate them, to be really like blunt. So it's like, if you could go put that person, instead of data management or, appointment setting, which I made like on another podcast recently, and they can go do something that really feels their purpose and like, really drives, like, and gives them a lot more job enjoyment and like, honestly, a better quality of life, because they're not clicking through data and they're actually doing something that lights them up, like graphic design and like whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think all of us have talents.
Yeah.
So it's like exposing that, and I don't think anyone's like lifelong goal is to pull data from a spreadsheet.
No. In every business, there's components that you don't really want to be doing that you'd rather would be more automated, and then there's parts that you really love and that you think about all the time. And so if that bot is messaging someone as soon as they enter the details, then the bot can also give them the Calendly call link, or if they're a good sort of fit for it, and potentially know which salesperson it should go to, or that kind of stuff. Or what are you like? What have you seen with? Is it able to book more calls? It books calls consistently, or it makes sales itself, or?
Yeah, we've done it like the booking in the call, booking orientation. So I had like a boxing gym, and like they booked like 4 or 5 orientations. Everyone showed up, and I look at, most people don't like answering the phone. Like out of the States, I don't know if it was like 90 something. There was in the 90s of calls that go. Right, a guy named Ryan Stewman posted about it. I think it was even a few years ago. Like more than 90% of calls go unanswered in the United States. I think it was an AT&T stat. Yeah. So. Okay, well, like, you can be rich or you can be right. Yeah. Everyone should answer the phones. Yeah, but they don't. Yeah. And like, even like I'm not really good with like millennials and all that kind of stuff, but most young people would just rather text. Yeah. Social anxieties or whatever it is, they'd rather text. So just play to that. Like if they're going to be your buyers.
Yeah. You could even have them choose, like, would you like to watch a video series about this, or would you like to book a call? Would you, like we've been talking about the Google Doc and selling from Google Doc. Like, would you like to see a document that explains this, or would you like to speak with the founder of the company? They're things that are worth testing. And if you have those possibilities to automate those processes, then especially if you go on holidays, you got the other option. Like, okay, we'll switch that one off for a bit and test these other processes. And all those little efficiencies can make a big difference over time.
Yeah, and I look at it as, like, no one likes to be sold to, but people like to buy. 100%. So let them buy in the channel or the medium that they want to buy in. Yeah. And that's what was one of my key breakthroughs this year, is like, when I was running the AIGC, it's like some people are like, can we get on a call? Yeah, 100%. Some people are like, yeah, cool, like, how do I sign up? Send them a link, they sign up. Yeah. I know I've closed big deals just over chat, because, we've had our call, and then they've got questions, and it's just a more, I guess, natural sales process, and in however that person likes to be sold to and how they like to buy. Some people are like, oh, no, I don't want to do credit card over the phone, send me a link. Some people are like, yeah, send me a link. I don't want to say the digits over the phone, and they trust a encrypted link. So, I'm not a absolutist in anything, because I've had enough human interaction to go, some people like this, some people like this, and some people kind of sit anywhere on that spectrum.
Yeah. And now you're working with other guys helping them to make money online. Even when you have the gyms and you look at, that's a bricks and mortar business, but the sales are being made, your Facebook, onto the phone, whether that product has online delivery or offline delivery, it's kind of irrelevant. Like you've effectively been making money online since, when did you first start with the gyms?
It's 2013.
Yeah.
We ran a boot camp in 2013.
Yeah, so it's like 11 years. A lot of guys haven't made their first dollar off the internet still. What does it actually take to make money? You're talking to these new guys coming into agencies. Some of them haven't made their first dollar. Who are the ones who win and who are the ones who struggle to get that first money in?
I think it's like, it always comes down to like that self-belief.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. Like mum's always just been so, you can do it. And I've had, like I always say, if you can tie your shoes, you can be successful. Because like it's a process of like, there's a few steps in that. And like I just apply that to everything I do in life.
Yeah.
I've not been wearing shoes the last couple of days, so I don't have to.
I always use the juggling one, which is funny. That's why I was giggling, because you've done the 3-ball juggling. I'm like, look, if I just told someone on the street, look, you got to juggle, or put a gun to their head, you got to juggle. If they haven't juggled before, it's not going to happen. If you say, look, someone who can 3-ball, look, you got a 5-ball right now, it's not going to happen. So it's like that when someone thinks they're just going to make money off the internet. Well, it's like, no, let's just practice the thing. And it's like tying your shoes. It's like if you've done it before, then you can get to a point of unconscious competence where you really don't understand, like, oh, this person doesn't know how to tie their shoes, or they don't know how to 3-ball juggle. It can get to a point for anyone where it's like, it's easy to make money on the internet. You just ask people if they want stuff, and then you help them get what they want, and that's it. Like you could do it with a physical product, you could do it with a digital product, like you could sell events, like anything. It's easy. But it's easy once you've done it so many times, like 5-ball juggling, where I can do it, talk at the same time, squat at the same time. For the confidence of, I think it's that belief, suspending the disbelief for long enough to be like, I'm sure I can tie my shoelaces. Like, there's going to be a point where I can do these shoes, or I can throw these 3 balls. The suspending, and we went through that together. I'm just trying to get you to suspend your disbelief for a minute. We did the one, so we did the 3-ball throw with a clap, like 1, 2, 3. Clap and then catch. And the first one, you can see that's like it seems like a long shot. It didn't go very close, and I'm like, give me 10. By the 7th one, you did it. So you go from like there's no freaking way to the 7th one, you nail it, and that's in the space of less than a minute. The learning curve to be making money online is not going to be a minute, but there's a curve, and you just progress along the curve, and that's it.
Yeah. I think there's like no one way to do it, and that's kind of where I was getting at. Like with you're tying shoes, you can do the under over, you can do the Mickey Mouse, you can do all that kind of stuff. So I think that's what stops a lot of people from making money online. They think there's one way, and there's not. There's like so many ways. Like I could Amazon, eBay, ebooks, products, services, drop shipping.
Yeah.
Like,
all the different types of funnels. You got your book funnel, you got your sell by chat, you got your sell by Google Doc, you got your sell by phone, you got there's every aspect of it is creative, and it's about finding the solution that fits with your price point, your personal skills, your preferences, the customers, the kind of customers that you're working with. If it's boomers, it's probably going to be different to if it's 16-year-olds that you're targeting, like all this stuff. But if it's getting past that mental rigidity. That's what my mentor often talks about. Like, we don't want a set mind, we want a flexible mind, and that's why I love having these physical things that show more flexibility. By we did the rope flow stuff, and it's like when you first do it, like, what am I doing here? Like standing here, twisting a rope. But you can see that within a few minutes, and so it's gonna feel like that same weird thing with building online business. How do you help people to just persist and be able to keep moving when they do get that discomfort of people laughing at me, people telling me I'm getting scammed, people telling me it's not going to work?
Yeah, so I think it's like, I always like to call it the content creation paradox. And this is something, so it's like when you start posting content, you have no followers, you have no audience, whatever. So that's fine. So you can keep sucking. And then if you get an audience, that by definition means your content's good. So that's all it is. And then I think the biggest thing that stops people is fear of judgment from the people closest to them.
Yeah.
And that's what I've kind of, these people don't actually care about you.
Not in the way you think, anyway.
Yeah. So it's like, what one of my friends and all that, like friends and all that kind of stuff, going to say like, it doesn't matter if they don't support you. Are they like really your friend? And I've gone off at people. I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you trying to take the piss out of me? Is it because like you can't follow your dreams? And like the looks on their faces, like they shut up pretty quickly. And like, I've copped it for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, shit, like well done. Like, oh, I wish I could do that. And that's generally where it comes from. It's like, I believe in the message. I know I can help people. I've helped thousands of people literally in the gyms and online, making all that kind of stuff. I've got hundreds of clients that I've worked with personally over the last 11 years. So I'm like, I have that belief in like what I do actually helps. Never scammed anyone, never, there's been clients that I haven't got results for, 100%. But it's like, okay, cool, like, do you want your money back, or like, are you happy? And generally speaking, like if you had like an agreement and expectations and like these things haven't worked, or they want to change tack, or that's not how they want to do business, then that's fine. So yeah, like come back to like making your money online. Like it always comes down to like business is fundamentally problem solving, and it's an exchange of value somewhere. So like that's where I come back to like you've got to believe in like what you're doing is valuable. Like if you think, and some people do, like this is shit. Well then like it might be shit, and you probably need to go work on that skill. But for people probably watching this, they have some level of talent in body comp or like they've got skills, they've put in the work, they're on their pathway to mastery, so they've got something that people want, and I fundamentally believe that. And then it's like, okay, it's like creating that invitation to work together, and like do it for $5, do it for $10. Like one of my mentors says, like the best way to gauge intent is to make an offer. And so if you make an offer and they say yes, well then they're a buyer. Not everyone's going to be a buyer, which is completely fine. But if you're $10, cool. Well, that's it. You got to start somewhere. I started with 3 PT sessions, 3 free PT sessions. It's good. They signed up, and my first client, he signed up for 4 sessions a week back in 2012, and like we're still in contact to this day because he's like, oh wow, this is like a really good service. So I'm like, as much as people like don't work for free and that kind of stuff, like. But the answer is it depends. Like, I'm not going to work for free now, but I've probably put 30, 40,000 hours, but at the start I did.
But you're happy to get an ebook out, or if someone wants to buy something off you for $5 that's a video tutorial that you've made that's an hour long, like you're happy to sell that for $5 or give it away for free because you're giving them value, you can make an exchange. Like it's that thing of being too proud to work for not much money holds a lot of guys back, where it's like just get reps, get the experience of exchange, make that first $1, make the first $100, and eventually it's a self-affirming thing where it's like, okay, this guy liked it, he paid for 4 sessions, therefore someone else is going to pay for that, and you feel more confident about offering the 3 free sessions to someone else because. And like the easiest way to get the confidence is by doing the thing. Like I could tell you, you're going to be able to 3-ball juggle, and we could do affirmations and dances and whatever to say you're going to 3-ball juggle. You can be writing it down in your diary every day, or we can just juggle. And then you're like, no one can tell you now, oh, you can't 3-ball juggle. Like it's because of your eyesight. It's because you were born this way, that way. No, you already juggled now. So no one's going to shake your belief in yourself once you've done it.
Yeah.
That's why if you can sell it for $1. There's something else that you can sell for $100 or $1,000. Maybe they would have paid that price for the same thing.
But yeah, that's a really interesting thing. I think so many people have an aversion to sales.
Yeah.
Like that is the doozy.
Yeah.
And it's like fear of, and that's why salespeople get paid so much, is they face rejection every day. And I think if you can overcome that, and it's like, it's like Grant Cardone says, you either sell yourself or you're selling yourself to, or you're selling yourself not. And like we're in a sales kind of conversation every day, and that like again, fear of rejection is one of our like primal fears, like getting rejected from the herd, and like because we're mammals and herd animals, and funny thing about the mammal milk that we spoke about the other day. So yeah, that fear of rejection, I think that's probably what holds a lot of people back from making their first $1 online. Is you can do it, but like there is gonna be people that say no.
Yeah.
And that's the, I've made I've made thousands of offers to people, and a lot have said no, and a few have said yes, and made a lot of money on the way.
Yeah. just about collecting no's at the start. Like the more if you collect 100 no's, you'll probably be fine at that point.
Yeah.
But get into 100 no's. A lot of people stop at 3 or 5 or 10, and then you have to work for a wage. Someone else asks a question, and you just do the fulfillment, which is always going to be.
Yeah, the collecting no's. I love it. Like, yeah, getting as many no's, because the good thing about no, if you get no and feedback, like that sell by chat conversation we're going through yesterday, he was like, oh, I don't want another group coaching thing, and I offered him one-on-one. He's like, yeah. He's like, no, I'm not interested. I was like, why not? He's like, I don't want to do another group coaching program. I was like, oh, why don't we work together one-on-one? He's like, yeah. So, the no's, because like no is good, because no is a piece of feedback that you can use, and then why not? The worst thing you do is like no and don't ask a question.
Yeah, exactly. People, that's one of the things. I think Mitch Pike told me actually. It's like somewhere he picked it up. Like everyone says no 3 times before they say yes. So when you're having the conversation, like, oh, but how much time is it going to take? Like that's one way that they say, look, I don't have enough time to do this thing, or is it a contract? Am I going to be locked into paying this forever? Or they're always going to have these ways of saying no, and so I'll start in next year. That's another way of saying no, and if you stop at that, if you just accept, okay, well that's what they're saying, you won't make sales. But if you be like, okay, well they just need more information. Let's discuss this further. Then eventually they want something, or they're not going to be having the call. Like everyone wants to get to that next level in life. Everyone wants that progression. If you know in your heart that you can support that, then it's got to happen. So
yeah, I was reading a really good book. It's negotiating. Start with no.
Yeah. And
he's like, when you offer the other party the ability to say no, it brings them at ease. And it's kind of like Chris Voss's stuff as well. And like I really geek out on like negotiation and just like the framing of conversations, between influence, Oren Klaff, Chris Voss, like that stuff is Robert Cialdini stuff. It's so fascinating. Yeah. Because like, we live in this society where everyone's afraid to say no, and it's yes, 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 and like, not lifestyle creep, but like, people just saying yes to things that they don't really want to, and then hating it being there, and like, the whatever with the social commitments, family commitments, and it's okay to say no.
Was the one yesterday that you said with the objection handling? That was really cool.
Oh yeah, so it was from a guy named Kevin Nations, and he's like, it was I read it somewhere, one of his videos. He's like, the ultimate objection handle is, it appears thank you for letting me know you're not going to become a client. That's it. And then they start qualifying themselves. And I think, there's power in that frame. And then, coming into the sales, it's like when you don't, like, not need them, but like you're not, people can feel neediness. Yeah. In personal relationships, in business relationships, when someone's needy, and you can just feel it. And, it's like kind of what we've been saying about the kids, and the little one, about how like they're just their intuition, and they can see that, and people don't listen to that as much as they potentially could, and that neediness in a sale is people like I've really picked up on it. Is like when I've been working with when I've been buying stuff, like how needy the buyers are, and like as you go up like the luxury chains, and like you go into like higher end, and generally speaking, an everyday retailer hasn't had sales training, but like, sales at luxury brands is like they take it away. Like I know when I was in London, I was trying to get a new watch, and they're like, oh, you can't get this. And I'm like, what more? So it's I think, sales is everywhere, and the more you can lean into it and know that it's going to help you get what you want, I think, coming back to the original, is like the quicker you'll get there. Like that is the shortcut. Speaking with a guy who runs a $100 million ASX listed company, and he's like, the shortcut to getting really wealthy is working really hard and just outwork everyone. And I was like, you know what, that's a banger. It really, really holds true. Yeah. And there's like nuances to that of like work smart, work not, work hard. But I kind of look at like I just worked so hard in the gyms for 6 or 7 years, and in fitness and that, and now I've kind of got that luxury of, okay, I can see like what other people can't see in terms of automations, or in terms of software, or in terms of ads. But it came from, I think I did like 15,000 ad campaigns.
Yeah.
for like tests and duplications, and I had to 15,000 divided by 7, so that's probably 2,000, but I had to times them by 7 because we had 7 locations. But yeah, the ads manager. But so now when I look at an ad, I can kind of diagnose it instantly why it won't work. Whether it's like the wrong messaging or whatever. But that's come from all the reps, and that was all manual. The only thing I kind of automated was duplicating campaigns. But you can kind of see, like in higher socioeconomic markets, these kinds of aspirations and towards to or away from, and like pain and interest and desire and all that kind of stuff. Those are the things that you kind of pick up, but there was no shortcut to that. I can shortcut stuff now, but over years and hours in ads managers and going through all the iterations of that, now I'm like, okay, now I can kind of, that ad will work, or that's not really clear what you're saying.
Yeah. What are some of the best ads have going for them?
Yeah, so and this is, I look at the long tail ads are the ones that don't seem like ads, and they a lot of the markets like calling out the things that you don't have, which is that works. Right. But the ads that I've run for the longest are like inviting people in. So when you think of like Facebook or Instagram, like they're social media like networks. So that means like how to be social. And I think the algorithms are advancing so far, and I did a course probably 2-3 years ago, and the instructor was like, Facebook has 2 million data points on you at any one time. So Facebook probably knows you better than you know yourself, which is insane. But that's what happens when you're hundreds of billions of dollars company and you can spend that. So the best kind of ads, I think, are the ones that are inviting in. And like the direct call out, direct response will work, but you'll also piss a lot of people off. So there's, hey accountant, or hey gym owner, or hey this person, or hey whatever. That will work, but that will also get you negative scores, negative feedback, which will make your cost per 1,000 impressions more expensive, and you could get your ad account shut down eventually. Whereas if you invite people in, like one of the ads that I ran, it's like, here's how agency owners are landing $5,000 to $15,000 deals, and the click-through rate was 15%. It was like a photo of me smoking a cigar in Cuba, and so I'm like, okay, that's a good ad because people are just interested. And so when you look at the goal of Facebook, it's to keep people on the platform. So if you're getting people that are pissed off and they're muting your ad and all that kind of thing, it's probably not going to work over the long term. Whereas if you give someone a bit of longer form copy in the news feed and give them something to read and they're actually interested, Facebook can tell basically the front camera on your phone, they can tell where you're looking, which is pretty scary. But to use their networks, we have to play their games. So when I look at a good ad, it's relevant to the person, and I find the text does the targeting. So I just rip broad now, so you can just pick literally males 25 to 45, Australia, America, UK, and then just let Facebook do all the targeting. And the leads that I'm getting from that is insane. Whereas before you had all this intricate targeting and stuff like that. So yeah, good image that stops the scroll, and because it is disruption-based marketing. So that's why you get you'll have people that use those viral clips, like the baseball coming into the screen, and people doing roly-polies and burnouts and all that kind of stuff. And then it's the relevance of the actual content to whoever you're putting in front of.
Yeah. It's exciting time, exciting journey ahead. And, I appreciate you coming to visit. It was sort of short notice invitation to come see the place up here. It's been fun training together, getting over to see the Bali Time Chamber, checking out the next phase of the development here. Really looking forward to the adventures ahead. I think this is still going to be the thing that's most valuable in all of this. As much as we leverage the AI and we kind of like that we can use certain technologies, it's always going to be the human side of interacting with customers, interacting with other business owners. That's the fun part of it. Appreciate you coming to do this, and look forward to seeing all of the developments with the technology and your business. And I know there's always going to be innovation coming from your side. So appreciate you.
Appreciate it, mate. Thank you.